Hi, Kimberly. Welcome to the podcast today.
Hey girl, hey. Thanks for
Hey.
having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here, y'all. I feel like I am going to the beach. This was like
You cute
I'm giving
girl.
vacation. I'm giving vacation vibes. So
Yes,
that's a
very much so.
sign. I need to be on a vacation. All right. So today we're going to talk about a subject I know that we have heard many a times, especially from Michelle Obama has talked about this. We've heard other women talking about it, but one of the things I've noticed is a lot of women may not be sure how to reach this point or how to go through this process, and that is a process called Becoming. And so Kimberly is here today to talk to us about this. And before we dive in, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of background about Kimberly. So Kimberly is a strategist, speaker, and coach who helps women over 40 into their next chapter with clarity and confidence. As the founder of I Hear That Girl, and Creative Catalyst Consulting, Kimberly empowers seasoned women to rebuild their lives, embrace ease, and align with purpose as they create lives of fulfillment and abundance. Today, we're going to talk about the real journey of becoming, y'all. We're going to talk about it. I'm learning with you. I say that all the time. What it takes to rebuild your identity, trust yourself again, and step into the most powerful version of who you are becoming. So, we're going to dive in. We're going to have a good discussion. And we're going
Hmm.
to learn more about the power of becoming. So,
Yes.
my question to you to kick this conversation off, Kimberly, is when you speak a lot about becoming, what does that word really mean to you?
Hmm. Becoming when I first started doing this work in 2016, it had a
Mm-hmm.
meaning that has evolved itself even this year. And so in 2016, when I started doing the work, it was the process. It was the work of releasing who you thought you were, the version of yourself that was shaped by expectations, survival, and
Mm-hmm.
other people's needs. And then I was like, okay, yeah, this is the work you do. You do the self work, right?
Yeah.
And by 2021, my life felt transformed. Um, and then this year, God gave me even more insight on what becoming is. Becoming is the gap. It's the gap
Mm-hmm.
between the work of, who you used to be, that identity, that false identity. And it is the gap between that false identity and accepting and walking into the true identity, the God identity. That's what it is. It's that space in between. So the reason that you feel all that dissonance and everything, and that's what becoming is. Becoming is
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable. Becoming is that hard, tough part because you're feeling dissonance because that's not really who I'm supposed to be. That's not
Yeah.
really, it doesn't fit, right? And so that's what the becoming is. It's the uncomfortable part. And when you recognize that who I thought I was that whole time was a false identity, and now I am going to walk into the true identity that God has given me, which I
Mm-hmm.
always was. That's the thing, we say becoming, but you don't really have to become because you already are. But it's that process of understanding that
Mm-hmm.
I already was this person, right? Because we're all
Yeah.
like fighting to become her. We want to be her. Like we see this vision of who she is, and we
Mm-hmm.
are making goals, doing the self work to achieve and get to that woman that we see, right?
Mm-hmm.
And God told me this year, you already are her. Just walk in it. And when I accepted that true identity, that's when things really changed. And I saw the full circle of becoming the practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I like how you broke that down. Like that process of becoming is just that uncomfortable piece that we go through.
Hmm.
Oftentimes, I know for many women, we visualize this person that we want to be, but we struggle with like, how do I get there?
Hmm.
And especially as women who are, we're over 40, where 40 is like this season of reinvention for a lot of women. And there's still this struggle, right? Of like,
Mm-hmm.
how do I still become this person? Whether it was someone that I saw when I was maybe 25 and I was like, this is who I want to be by 50, or even if it's someone that they um, envision themselves to be now. You know, by the
Mm-hmm.
age of 50, I want to be this, or the age of 45, or 48, whatever the case may be. How do we move through that process and to get there? Because I like what you said. God said, you already heard, just walk in it,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And for a lot of people, they're still stuck. And I'm pretty sure they'll ask God, okay, well, you said that, but well, how do
What do
I
I
get
do?
there now? Yeah, what do I do to get there? So, walk us through that just a little bit. Like when God told you that you're already there, what was the process that you took to like just start moving and walking in that part of who you are?
So, okay, I will. There's an exact direction that God gave me,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to get to that. But first, I got to
Okay.
set you up, right? So that I was in the place to be able to receive that direction, because
Mm-hmm.
that's really important. So, in the beginning, the becoming, that practice, that process of discomfort, taught me a lot of things about myself. I began to become aware. Awareness is your number one tool. So
Mm-hmm.
if you don't practice meditation, if you don't practice stillness, if you don't practice quiet, right, you're going to miss it.
Mm-hmm.
So what I tell you at the end of this won't matter,
Yeah.
because you're going to miss it. You're not able to receive it.
Yeah.
So awareness was a very big part of my becoming. So I went through the process of awareness. Then I went through a process of intention, understanding that if you really want to see change in your life, yes, you can say, I want to fulfill my purpose, God. You can say that. But if you're not intentional, making intentional steps to achieve such a thing, it's just talk, right?
Yeah.
So I got very intentional. I started reading about, at the time back in 2016, I had a heart of stone. Okay. I had
Mm-hmm.
been through a divorce. I had a heart of stone. I didn't trust nobody. I wouldn't let nobody in.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew that I wanted that to change. Right.
Yeah.
And so I had to get intentional about what it is I say I want. And I started reading books about love. I started reading books about money. I started reading books
Mm-hmm.
about understanding my own mindset. I started reading books about surrender, because I didn't know how to surrender. That was the hardest thing for me. I was always the person who needs to be in control.
Yeah.
So learning to surrender. It's easy to say surrender. We say, Lord, I'm going to surrender it to you. No, we don't. We take that wheel every time.
Be playing tug of war with God,
Okay.
honey.
Every time. We like, Jesus, take the wheel. Yeah, for a little
Yeah.
bit.
For
And
a
then
little
you
bit till
take
you
it
do
back.
something I don't like, and then we like, nah, let me do it
Okay.
myself.
So I was like, Kim, you need to learn how to truly surrender, sis. So I got
Yeah.
intentional about learning how to do that. And I'm going to tell you, along the way, this is what makes the becoming process so beautiful, because along the way, God would send me what I needed and I would write it
Mm.
down when it came. I'll tell you exactly. There was, when I talk about surrender, I was so like, God, I got to get this surrender. And in my inbox, I don't know how I got on that mailing list, but I had an email from Iyanla Van Zant, and it said, meet us for the surrender class tonight. It was a free webinar. So I go, and I was like, okay, God, thank you. I'm going to go to this class. And I get on the class. It was like an hour-long class, right? So I'm
Mhm.
in this class, and she's talking and talking, never really saying it much about surrender. I'm like, well, what good am I on here for? So
Yeah.
then she got to the last 10, 15 minutes, and she was like, okay, I'm going to do Q&A. And I was like, well, I need to cut it off because I didn't get what I wanted, but it's cool,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Spirit said to me very clearly, oh, you don't know what's for you. You don't know if one of the questions another woman has could benefit you. You don't know. So I stayed on the
Mm.
call. Now we're down to the last 5 minutes. We can see the ticker going down. In the last 60 seconds, she says, "Oh, real quick before I go, guys, I want to give you this book to read. It's called Letting Go, The Pathway to Surrender. It's like the Bible for me." And it goes off. I wrote down the book. I get this book. Honey, when I
Mhm.
say surrender, I surrender all. I still use that book. I tell every client I work with to purchase that
Mhm.
book and read it. You will come back to it over and over and over again. If you struggle with surrendering, that is the Bible for you. It helps you understand the importance and process of surrender. Surrender is a process that we must do every day. It's a
Yeah.
daily process. You don't get it one time and then you think you're okay. No, you have to, it's like hygiene, you have to do it
Mhm.
all the time. So that was that situation. And so it was these little lessons that God taught me from 2016 all the way to 2021. And my life was just manifesting everything that I wanted, everything. And so I was like, okay, God, I see you,
Yeah.
And I was very, very excited. I had just received an offer for a new position in corporate. And I was like, okay, I wasn't even looking for this. So thank you, God.
Mhm. Mhm.
Got married, got married, girl.
As the
Me, the
kids
person that
say.
the person that said she was never getting married again got married.
Okay.
And so in 2024, when I was let go from a job,
Mhm.
I was just like, okay, now who am I again? I lost it, forgot everything, right? Because again, this was the period that I had my hand on the wheel. And so that brings us to 2026 when God said, "You already are." And I said, okay, well, how do I get there, God? God said, do these things, Kim. I want you to take down a piece of paper. On one side of that paper, you're going to write what you believe about yourself. And on
Mm.
the other side, you're going to write what you believe I say about you.
Mm.
And the gap between is that false identity. You're going to see it.
Mm.
It's clear. It's plain. You're going to see it right there. And God said, now, once you see that gap, I want you to dismiss it and release it because you know how to surrender. So release it and then walk into what I say for you. Because what I
Mm.
say for you is the truth. What I say for you has already been. You've already been that. I already anointed you as those
Yeah.
things. So there's nothing that you need to become. You just are. So walk in it. And that was exercise.
Wow. That's amazing because, in church sometimes we hear that what God thinks of us,
Mm-hmm.
the many thoughts he has about us. And I remember one time, I think I was reading, I want to say it was maybe Psalms 94. Might be quoting this wrong, but if it is, I'll put the correct verse in the show notes. And it was saying, it was talking about like the many thoughts that God has of us
Mm-hmm.
and how he thinks of us. And I was like, oh my God, that is so amazing. But even though we hear that and we know that, there's still this inability to trust it in a sense or really
Mm-hmm.
believe in it. So how were you able to say, you know what, okay, I'm gonna let you have it, God. I'm gonna walk in this. Was there this uncomfortableness? Well, I'm not gonna say uncomfortableness because we talked about that. Was there a feeling of being excited and terrified at the same time while you were on this journey?
You mean after God gave me the directions?
Yeah, after he gave you the direction, yeah.
After God gave me the directions, there was no fear. That's
No
that's
fear.
the beauty of it. The fear is
Okay.
gone because if God anoints a thing, it is a thing.
Yeah, it is a thing. Yeah.
So there's nothing you can do to hide it, right?
Yeah.
One of the examples that stood out to me was David. Um, so I don't know if you guys have been watching House of David. It's the
Mhm.
series on Amazon.
Mhm.
And in this season, we see David walking into becoming king. He's in his becoming phase.
Yeah.
And very clearly, because I do a higher self meditation every morning, right? Where I
Mm-hmm.
listen to my higher self. And in that meditation, in the very same day that God said, write this down, God said to me, you know, when I anointed David king, I didn't tell Elijah to tell him, you will become king. You are on the road to being king. One day you will be king. No, he said, David, God has anointed you king. And God said, so David was king that day, but David couldn't receive it. He kept thinking of a pathway to it. Like, okay, let me figure this out, how I'm going to get there. Because it's got to be a way that I can safely get there. Because everybody told David, you know, Saul gonna kill you, like, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he was
Mm-hmm.
like, well, there has to be God. God has to be setting up a specific way for me to become king. No,
Mm-hmm.
you were king that day, right? And it wasn't until David walked and stepped into the true identity of who he was and said, I can't hide it anymore. I can't lie about it anymore. That was when he became king. Like it is that,
Yeah.
yeah, he had to fight. He had to go through a lot of stuff. But at that point, all of the troops that he was leading, they followed him because they believed it. They believed that
Yeah.
truth. And
Yeah.
so they followed him. So like what? What? God has
Yeah.
already claimed it. So when God claims a thing on you, you are, and that fear is gone because you can't change it. It just is. I got up that day after reading what God says about me. I took that full day to intentionally release those false identities I had about myself. And then that very next day, I got up and I was who God said I was. And it might have been just walking like that person. Like, if you believe this, how do you get up and walk? How do you walk into a room? How do you answer a phone call? How do you send your emails? Like, what kind of
Yeah.
posture do you have when you know you are that
Yeah.
person? Um,
Yeah.
and when God told me, you're a speaker, you speak to millions. Okay, so what am I supposed to do? Girl, you better get to speaking. You better get to speaking over
Mm-hmm.
and over and over again. I made sure that I speak at least 2 or 3 times a day in some capacity. I make videos for my online channel. I speak at events, and I make sure that I speak to a client every day. I'm going to impart because God said you speak to millions. So speak, do it. There's no need to wait. There's nothing I have to do to become. I am a speaker. Look at me today. Am I
And
not a
you
speaker?
speaking. You speaking. And you speaking to me because I'm just sitting here like taking it all in because I am also one of those people, like, I will be honest, I know I play tug of war with God. That's something I'm like, oh God, help me to stop doing that. And because it's something, there's a path that He has for me. And then sometimes we have this path that we see for ourselves, like we talked
Mm-hmm.
about. But as you talked about in the middle, we
Mm-hmm.
have these false identities, and that's the place where we really got to spend some time doing the work and really getting to the point where we say, okay, God, I have to let go of all of this so I can fully trust you
Yeah.
to walk in the purpose that you have for me. Why do you think why do you think so many women struggle when it comes to in this space of just trying to move to the point of becoming? Why do you think that's such a struggle for a lot of us as women?
Well, for Black women in particular, we are just
Hmm.
used to handling everything. So the control issue for us is the
Hmm.
hardest thing, right? We're just used to it. We carry the burdens of other people. We have
Hmm.
to sometimes micromanage situations, especially in marriages. We
Hmm.
micromanage that
Hmm.
because if you
Hmm.
don't manage the house, honey, It's everything falling apart, right?
Yeah.
So we find ourselves in these situations where we're always saying, I have to put my hands on it, because if I don't put my hands on it, everything's going to fall apart. And one, we grew up seeing it from our own mothers. I know I
Mm-hmm.
did. And you, I thought my mom was so smart. I still do to this day. I was like, she's very wise. She was able to hold everything together. That's very smart.
Yeah.
And I took that with me as Kim, be on top of everything. Prioritize, plan, prepare. Always. That is me. I
Mm-hmm.
am that person,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then I take it into my job. I take it into my friendships. I take it into my business. I take it everywhere. So I am always wanting to be in control, to the point where it causes anxiety. It causes
Yeah.
anxiety for you not to be in control, or to feel as if you are not in control. And when you say, God, I'm going to surrender this to you and allow you to drive, do you know what kind of anxiety that's going to create for a
Mm-hmm.
person who has believed that they are in control, right? And so that is the back and forth. That's the tussle. It's like, God, I do trust you. However, I feel like I need to put my hands on it. And there are two truths about this. One of the truths is that, unfortunately, we have to get sometimes to a situation where there's nothing you can do. You've tried everything you thought you knew how to do, and
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't work. Now, when you get to that point, which this year I think a lot of people are at that point, but
Mm-hmm.
when you get to that point, that is the wake up call. That is the
Yeah.
one that says, baby, I told you I got you. And now you really need to just give this to me, right?
Yeah.
So that's one point. And then the second point of recognizing that you no longer have control is that you are tired. You're exhausted. I got to a point I was just exhausted. The anxiety was so exhausting. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
God, I just cannot, I can't do it anymore. So I believe in you, and I believe that you are supposed to handle this anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. You got it. So
Yeah.
it's one of those two truths that happens when we get to the point where we just release it and let go.
Yeah. Because it's almost like either you want to stay in it and continue with this struggle of anxiety, or you want the relief
Mm-hmm.
of, so that you can say, okay, I can get this off of me so that I can be better, so I can think better, so that I can sleep at night. Um, and that's something that I've noticed in quite a few women patients that I see. And when they're women, that's the number one thing is it's a control. And number
Mm-hmm.
one thing I hear all the time is, oh, I got this anxiety. And then when we dig a little deeper, it's a control issue. I
Yeah.
want to control the future. I want to control the house. I want to control the kids and how they respond. I want to control my husband and how he does this. I want to control everything around me.
Yeah.
But what I notice about a lot of the women who do that is there's this lack of control sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes even over self,
Mm-hmm.
because they're so busy controlling everything and everybody else.
Yeah. It's that I
As
can't trust
yeah,
myself either. I don't trust
yeah,
myself
yeah.
because you feel like you're going to make a mistake. So you don't even
Hmm.
really truly trust your own decisions.
Yeah.
And I have been in that place, like, especially after divorce. I questioned every decision because I was like, how did I end up with this bozo? Like, I thought I was smart. How did I do this?
Hmm.
How did I get myself in this situation? So now I don't trust myself. Even though I believe God, I don't trust even that I heard you, God. Did I hear you clearly? Now you're second guessing. Did I hear you? I didn't
Yeah.
hear you. Because there's no way I'm still going through this. Like, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so it's a self-trust issue as well.
Yeah. I like that you said that, because that was my next question for you, is because a lot of women, we lose ourselves because we're so busy people pleasing. And a lot of us were in survival mode, especially Black women. We're in survival mode a lot. And as women, we also put other people before ourselves. And we have to learn
Mm-hmm.
how to put ourselves first. And when it comes down to learning how to trust us, how can we begin that process of trusting ourselves so that we can, you know, go move, through this process of becoming who God wants us to be? So, how can we begin that process of just rebuilding that trust in ourselves?
Number one thing is to get quiet. Find
Mhm.
some quiet time somewhere. Even if it's 5 minutes. When I started meditation, I believe I started with like a, a 2 minute meditation, right? Um,
Mhm.
but now I can do 20 minutes to an hour. And if I get an hour, oh, I'm the nicest person that day because do you understand what kind of peace you get when you meditate?
Yes.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Um, but yes, so start with quiet. Get quiet enough to hear yourself. The second thing you want to do is to keep tiny promises to yourself. It can be as small as saying, I'm going to read 5 pages of my favorite book, or I
Mhm.
am going to start researching that thing that I really want to do. Just research, and I'm going to give myself 10 minutes to just research. Whatever it is, prioritize yourself in your day. And it can
Yeah.
be one thing that you start prioritizing for yourself. Get intentional about it. And when you do that and you get quiet, what you'll start to recognize is clarity. Clarity comes
Mhm.
through because at first, in your meditation, for people, my clients, they say, I tried meditation, but it's just a lot of stuff be going on. I can't even focus. And I'm like, you're not supposed to focus, right?
Mhm.
You will get to focus, but you're not going to start off focusing because the whole point is to allow your mind to exhaust itself. So,
Mhm.
all of the thoughts and things that are running through your mind in your meditation, let them go. Let them just play out because they will exhaust themselves. The only reason they're running around like bees in a hive is because you've had them closed up and no time to let them play all the way out, right? We have so many distractions. So it's always like a new thought coming in and no time for the thoughts that are there to just play out, right?
Yeah.
So if you go into the meditation, and what I used to do when I first started was I would imagine myself sitting in this white room, and there were only two chairs in the room. And I would sit in the chair and wait for my higher self, my highest consciousness to come and sit with me. But when I would sit there, I would see these thoughts, which were people walking. There's like a whole bunch of people. I'm like, God, they just
Mhm.
walking,
Mhm.
walking through my situation. But I would let them walk through. And they were making their way out of the door. So I would just let them walk. And I just imagined them all leaving until there was one left, and then that one was gone. And then it's just me. Now I'm clear. And in comes my highest consciousness, and it would tell me the truth. Hey, you did it. You see how you did that? Be kind to your wandering mind. You did it. Like it was just amazing to experience, so much so that I wanted to do it all the time because I actually got steps. It's
Yeah.
not just, let me make you feel good today. It was truth. That's the thing about meditation. You get truth. It does not cut corners. It's not going to be sweet to you. It tells you the truth. Do this, do that, end of story. Period.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so if you want to rebuild your self-trust, those are the steps I would tell anybody to take because then you get that clarity. You're really going to trust yourself. You're going to trust God, most importantly.
Mhm.
So you can step into the identity that God's been screaming at you about for the
Mhm.
longest.
I like that you mentioned um the point about keeping promises to yourself. For a lot of women, we break promises to ourselves. We always say, I'm going to start this, I'm going to start that. And then the day comes and we don't do it. We don't keep these small promises to ourselves. And I'm saying this because I've been guilty of this.
Mm-hmm.
And even just yesterday, I had to push myself to do something that I said I was going to do. Like, okay, you wrote these things down. You said you're going to do them. Okay, Tuesday didn't happen because of the weather. That's not your fault. It is rescheduled. Um, but yesterday I was like, I don't want to do that because I don't want to pay for it. Like I don't want to pay for that right now. But I pushed myself. I said, you know what? Do it anyway.
Yeah.
And I went and I did it. And when I tell you it was the best experience I had, and y'all probably like, well, what did you do, girl? I got into golf.
Ah,
And it's something that I've always wanted to like really get into. And just hitting that ball yesterday, just learning how it was I would say the stress reliever I didn't know that I needed.
mm,
And just because I've been juggling so many things, I'm like, okay, you're still working this 9 to 5, you're building this business, you are the caregiver for your mom, you have to travel back and forth. And it's a lot. And it
yeah.
just got so much to the point where it's like, I don't have an outlet. So I'm feeling my emotions all over the place, especially back in March. I was like, what is wrong with me? I'm just overly emotional. And I was at home because my mom doesn't live here. She lives in another state. And so I'm there, and when I'm there, I don't have the same outlets that I do when I'm in my own personal space.
Mm-hmm.
And so yesterday I did the thing, and I said, "Oh my God, this is amazing! I have to come back."
Yeah.
And so I told the instructor, she's like, "Are you gonna come back?" I said, "I am gonna come back." I said, "You're gonna see me at your next event anyway, but I'm gonna come back before then." Because I like this has helped me today. Mentally, it was like a release for me. And
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, why did I sit on this for so long? But I kept breaking this promise to myself to start. And when it's time to start, I'm like, I'm not going to do it. Then I go back in the group maybe a few months later and say, hey, can somebody share the name of that instructor again?
Mm-hmm.
They'll share it. I still wasn't keeping a promise to myself. And so I'm trying to be for my own, peace of mind and making sure that I'm walking and doing the things that I want to do because I also envision like this woman that I want to become. But in order to be that woman, I have to keep these promises to myself.
Yes.
And I have to, like you mentioned, everything has to be done with intention. It's like how you move, how you speak, how you write your emails, how you interact with other people. And I think sometimes as women, sometimes it's easy to lose sight of that. Um, as we're going through this process or as we're trying to move through this process. So I do like that you mentioned that, really keeping those promises to ourselves. I also love the fact that you meditate. Now, I am someone who struggles with meditation, but I am a believer in it and I do push it. I tell people all the time to try it.
Yeah.
Whether it's starting off at, 2 minutes, 1 minute, 3 minutes. There are so many apps out here that you can try now and use.
Mm-hmm.
I always recommend one app. So anybody watching, it's called the Balance app. It's really good at
Yeah.
getting you started because it will teach you how to control those thoughts and look at them
Yep.
like these fleeting thoughts. And so um, that's what helped me. But it's definitely something that I want to do. When I was at this one company, we used to meditate before meetings, and I was like, man, I hate this because I know it's gonna make me tired. I was like, I'm gonna go to sleep. It's gonna make me tired. I don't know how long y'all gonna be meditating today, so I would just get up and walk away and come back when I hear that they're done. Um, but I want to. I'm bringing that point up because for a lot of women, I hear this a lot, and they say, "Well, I hear you with the meditation. I hear you with taking some time for me for an hour a day, or 15 minutes a day, or 5 minutes a day, but I have all of these responsibilities. How am I supposed to fit that in to my day?"
Oh,
So
I
I'm going to
love
ask
that
you how
question.
they supposed to, because we hear it a lot. Women, they juggle all of these things. It's like, I don't have the time. Where do I fit this in to my life?
That question or that statement is the majority of my clients. No lie.
Mm-hmm.
And I recently had a client, um, and she was like, "Girl, I just got out of the hospital, and I'm trying to. I don't want to kill myself again, but I have these things I want to do, but I just don't know how I'm gonna get it together." In 5 minutes, I helped her reorganize her life. And she is out there intentional. Okay. So, first off, that's why I love this question,
I love
because
it.
I get real with my clients and I say to them after she said what you just said, and she says it all desperate and everything, and she looks like she about to cry. You know what I say to
Mhm.
her? You do.
What's
You got
that?
the time. You got it. Because the truth is, you do. It's there, right? It's about
Mhm.
organizing your life. Because, and this is the reason I say that, because somebody listening is probably like, you don't know what she got going on. You don't. Baby, trust me, I know.
Yeah.
I know that regardless of what we're carrying, because we all carry different things, there is always time. That time is there. It's about how do you prioritize your time. Because let me tell you something, mothers will prioritize time for their children, they prioritize time for their family, they prioritize time for work, they prioritize time for friendships, but
Mm.
they don't prioritize time for themselves. So I say get very selfish, boo boo. I'm not going to spend, if my child want to get in 7 different extracurricular activities. No, this year you only going to be able to do 2, because you know what? I'm not driving all up and down the street for you, because I need things I need to do for myself. It's called setting boundaries. And so
Yeah.
in my program, I have a becoming circle membership program, right? And
Mhm.
so in this program, we take women, we're in this group 30 days at a time. We're learning new things every month. And one of the things in the intentionality month is for women to get real with themselves. We tell ourselves so many lies, y'all. Everybody need a friend that's gonna tell them the truth. I'm sorry. I
We
just have to
do.
tell you the truth.
We do. Yeah. Yeah.
But we tell ourselves so many lies. I don't have the time, girl. It's just, oh, they pulling me over here. Honey, it's a mess. Baby, listen, you got the time. Stop playing with me. So, what we do in that, one of those exercises is I ask the ladies, go write down every priority that you have. And then they come back and we meet every Sunday. We do a Sunday pep rally. And I say, okay,
Mhm.
so on your list, where are you? 9 times out of 10, well, actually 10 out of 10, they're always at the bottom. And I said, okay, so this next week we're going to get intentional. Oh, are we going off? Okay. I thought we were
No, we're
cutting off.
back.
Okay.
Mm-mm. No, we're here.
um,
We are here.
okay. And so then after we do that, the truth talk, right? The next week we spend that entire 7 days. I challenge them every day to put themselves at the top. And if anything else needs to be adjusted, you adjust their stuff. You don't adjust your stuff. Put yourself at the top. And they practice it for 7 days. By the time we meet on that Sunday, those ladies are like, oh yeah, I told them so because they got to go. Everything has changed. It's a new sheriff in town. I'm like,
I
yeah, you
love it.
like the way that feels, don't you?
Mhm.
Yes, you love the way that feels. And it's just about practicing it. We have to remember ourselves all over again. What did I say earlier? It's like hygiene. You have to practice it every day. We have to get ourselves back into a place where we don't feel guilty for choosing ourselves. That's what it is.
Mm.
I'm not going to feel guilty for choosing myself. No, I'm going to take this time for me. There is nothing wrong with that. I'm going to do it. People make selfish into a nasty word, but
Yes.
it's not. It's the best word ever. You should always consider yourself first. Because don't
Yeah.
we tell our children, oh, if everybody jumping off the cliff, what you gonna do? You gonna go too? You tell them to choose themselves first, right? Why aren't you doing it? We don't consider ourselves. We make decisions for everybody else, but we don't consider how is it going to affect me? Is this a good decision for me to make based on how it will affect me, not how it will affect my kids? Now this is coming from a woman who don't have no kids. And so
Mhm.
when I tell people that, mothers usually look at me like, yeah, it's easy to say that when you don't have kids. But I say that because I chose not to have kids because I know the
Mhm.
responsibility tied to it. That was a
Yeah.
conscious choice,
Yeah.
an intentional choice, because I know what it is I need to get done in my life is going to require me not to be so flexible with these kids, right? So
Hmm.
we just have to make intentional choices. Even if you have children, there are things that you're giving them more leeway on than you are giving yourself, and you are pushing yourself out. And so you are feeling displaced, and you are feeling unseen, and you are feeling forgotten, and you are feeling deprived. And then what comes from that? Resentment, frustration, anxiety, bitterness. Baby, I want you to live free. I want you to have a life of ease. I want you to get up every day feeling purposeful. And the only way you're going to do that is if you can walk into your true identity. And to be in your true identity, it requires you to be selfish.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. Um, I don't have kids either, so I get that people criticize. I don't. Um, and sometimes my mom is like, "Well, you need to have." I said, "Woman, I'm about to be 50 soon. I'm not gonna have no kids. So
Okay.
you got enough grandkids as it is." I love that you take them on this journey and you're taking them
Hmm.
slow and in these steps with
Yep.
7 days. Because if you can do seven, we can try seven more. Then you can do
Hmm.
those seven, we can try another seven. It takes 21 days to build a habit.
That's
Research
it.
shows. And so I see what you're doing there. You're setting them up to create these habits for themselves. They may not notice what you're doing, but that's what you're doing. That's why you're taking
Yeah.
them on these
Yeah.
steps. And so what I also love about that is it's breaking a pattern that we as women are so used to seeing. We're used to seeing our moms or other women prioritize everybody else.
Hmm.
We are nurturers and everybody comes before us. But now it's like, how do we break this pattern so that the children that you are raising, they can see, like, you know what? No, my mom actually, I saw my mom taking care of herself. I went to my mom and said, I want to do these five things. She said, no, you can pick one or two.
Hmm.
So I didn't see, where it's like almost like breaking, I don't want to say this, but I guess I have to say it. It's almost like breaking a generational curse in a way
Yes.
where we are teaching now as women, you're able to teach your children and maybe anyone else who's watching you, like, life isn't about everyone else all the time. That's a part of it, but you have to put you first and take care of you first.
Hmm.
And you made a very valid point is that we can become resentful. And not only can we become resentful, but we will also put that responsibility of not feeling heard, seen, cared for on somebody else.
Hmm.
But are we really taking care of ourselves in the way that we want somebody else to take care of us?
That's it.
Um,
Because
so
you
I
teach
like that
people
you're
how
doing
to
that.
treat you.
How to
You
treat
teach
you.
them how to treat
Exactly.
you.
Exactly. And so it was like, oh, Lord, I hear you, because I feel like I had a little resentment back in March and April. And I was just like, oh my God. I This is a lot, a lot to deal with. You juggling all of these things, and I'm not taking care of me. And I stopped
Hmm.
taking care. Yeah, I could go to the gym, but I'm like, okay, I feel better for like 3 hours, and then I'm back doing this. But this is really what
Right.
I would prefer to do. Um, and it did create a little bit of resentment, and I had to acknowledge that at some point. And when I heard you say it, I was like, oh, she preaching to me. She need to get out of my bed.
That's that truth.
That's
Truth
that truth
will
coming out
come.
that we don't tell ourselves. And so I also like something else you mentioned. You're trying to teach women how to live a life of ease.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. How do you
There
teach them
is,
to embrace that?
oh, it's I don't even want to say it's a process, because it's almost like if I give you an example of it and you go test it, once you feel it, you don't want to give it back. You don't want to
Hmm.
give it. It's freedom. It's freedom. I have
Yeah.
there's this talk I give, a keynote speech that I give called Soft is Strong. Wow. It's called Soft is Strong, why rest and ease is revolutionary for Black women. It's a revolutionary act. When
Hmm.
I um when I was let go from my corporate position in 2024, at first I was like, okay, well, shoot, that's all right. I'm going to relax. I'm chill and do this. Girl, come that Monday morning when you don't feel like you have anything to do, I'm up here trying to come up with stuff. I started going to the gym. Then I had to do, I'm going to go to the cafe for a little while. And then I'm going to do this. I made an agenda for my rest.
Yeah.
Right. So then I was exhausted because I was like, if I didn't hit these achievement points, I felt like I had failed a little bit in the day because I was so
Yeah.
used to productivity, to performance, right? We are used to
Hmm.
that as a measurement of our purpose, of who we are. And so I remember my husband saying to me, he said, just relax, baby, just relax. And I was like, well, how do you do such a thing? It was the hardest thing for me
Hmm.
to grasp. I didn't know how to just live a life of ease. And here's the thing, when we hear ease, Black women especially, when we hear ease, we think it means laziness, right? And it's not that. The world has expected work from Black women for so
Yeah.
long that it has become accustomed to it. And anything outside of that, anytime we choose to even take a nap, right? It is seen as laziness. It is seen as disruption. It is a radical act, right? So, what I
Hmm.
started to do was take naps when I get tired. Remember in kindergarten, we used to take naps all the time? It is for your
Sure did.
benefit. It is
Yes.
literally for your benefit. When you sleep, and if you take naps, right, you're only going to nap for 15 to 20 minutes. People think they'll lay there forever. No, you won't. You're literally only going to lay there about 15 or 20 minutes and you'll wake up. But when you wake up, you're going to have such clarity. You're going to have energy to do the thing that you want to do. When I started realizing that, I would wake up and feel a little bit better. And then I had to release that feeling of guilt. Don't be guilty because you slept in, girl. Who gonna check you? You don't have nowhere to show up to, so go to sleep. Rest. You deserve it. And so I did that. I made sure I told myself every day, it's okay. It is okay. But then when I woke up, because I had that energy and that clarity, and I also made sure I created a morning routine. Let me say that. I created a morning routine for myself. I don't know
Hmm.
too many women that have morning routines. You may say you got one, but it's just you getting ready to go to
Hmm.
work. I
Yeah.
ain't talking about it.
Right. Right.
I'm talking about a real routine, self care routine for you. I would get up at 5 a.m. in the morning and I would sit in silence and just sit, look out the window, talk to God. Then I might walk downstairs, go get a cup of tea or something, coffee. Coffee is my thing. And then
Hmm.
it's just easy because there's no constraints at 5 a.m. in the morning. Who's looking for
Right.
you? Nobody. So I took
Hmm.
that time. Then I would add more things onto it. I say, oh, I want to read my books. I made sure I would read 30 pages every morning, 30 pages of whatever book it is that I wanted to read. I made sure that I danced. I would move my body for 15 minutes. I would do my facial routine and take my time, not just hurrying up trying to do it, but take my time, look at products and be like, "Ooh, let's see what this do." You know, I would do all of that. And ultimately, my morning routine is a 4 hour long routine. And it is the holy grail for me. If I don't do it, I'm upset because
Yeah.
that is my time to love on myself. And
Yeah.
once you do it, I'm telling you, ladies, if you listen, do it one time. Put together a routine. It doesn't have to be 4 hours. It can just be if you only have, and if you, let's say you get up at 5, but you know you got to be on the road for work at 8, make sure that the 5 to 6:30 is all you. Then make the
Hmm.
6:30 to 8 about getting ready for work. I don't want you to try to lump that in together. You need to have just you time where you don't have to, rush to get ready for work. I don't want you thinking about work. I want you
Yeah.
to be thinking about you, right?
Yeah.
So whatever time that it is, even if it's 30 minutes, make it about you first. Then you can go into that get ready for work routine. But if you do that, ladies, I want y'all to email Ronnie and tell her how it changed your life. Because it will. I'm telling you. You do it one time, you're going to want to do it every day. You're going to want to
Yeah.
do it.
And when you email me, I'm gonna email Kimberly and say, "Oh my God, there are all of these great comments," because you made a valuable point, and because a lot of times there are women like, "Well, how do I find time for this?" And I remember telling, I used to tell like some of my direct reports this too, because they was like, "I don't have time, before work to take care of myself." But you come to work and you have to take care of everybody else. So I want you to prioritize you. What does that look like? And so I remember, I don't know who I stole this from, but I took it. But it was like a 20-20-20 routine. It's like, and it's an
Mm-hmm.
hour. And you can break that hour up however you want it to be. Look,
Yep.
it can be 10 minutes, it can be 20 minutes, it can be, I'm going to read for 20 minutes, I'm going to pray for 10 minutes, whatever you want to do. You just break it up within that hour if you don't have a lot of time.
Yep.
So they started doing it and they was like, oh my God, I feel so much better before I start work. And so I tell women that too, like you have to find these pockets of time. Even if you have to break them up during the day, you got to find
Mm-hmm.
these pockets of time for yourself. Because if not, you're gonna, be depleted. And as Black women, we are like, I don't know what it is, but we feel like we have to earn rest.
Oh, girl.
And that's one that I've been hearing so many people talk about and really trying to encourage Black women now. It's like you don't have to earn rest, but we feel like we have to be burnt out and we gotta,
In the
do all of
hospital.
this stuff. And then yeah, and then we're like, now I can rest. I can rest. I worked hard all week. Now I can rest. So I love the fact that you say, no, this is a routine that you can put in place for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Try
Mm-hmm.
it. Because you don't have to earn rest, and that is one of the challenges that women have, especially high achieving Black women,
Mm-hmm.
is we praise the struggle. We feel like we have to struggle. We, like you mentioned, we got to end up to the point where we end up in the hospital, and then now we're forced to rest. Our body's like, now you gotta rest.
Mm-hmm.
And so what do you say to those women who still say, I hear you, girl, but I got to do all of these things, because they're still going to be thinking that, they're like,
Mm-hmm.
I can create the routine, but sometimes, for some people, of course, it's a challenge to stick to, which is why I love that you take them on these 7-day journeys to
Mm-hmm.
get them started. But what do you say to Black women who feel like they have to earn rest? Because that's one that is big right now. We feel like we have to earn rest, and we
Yeah. If you believe that you have to earn rest, which, like you said, we all have been there, rest is a necessity. It's not something that you earn. It's a necessity.
don't. Hmm.
Because if you deprive yourself of it, whatever you call yourself working towards or working for, you will die before you get to it. So it's a necessity. It
Hmm.
literally is a necessity. It is not, it's non negotiable.
Right.
It's non negotiable. If you don't rest this, you will die trying to get whatever it is you're trying to get. And here's the thing, the process of getting there is going to be a hollow process because you won't fully even receive anything, right? So, let me give you guys a book. I talk in books. I love books, y'all. But
Hmm.
here's a book
And I'm
called,
taking notes.
this book is called The Miracle Morning. That is the book that made me get serious about my routine, because in the very premise, first page of the book, he says, I decided to look at the richest people in the world and to also look at the happiest people and see what is coinciding with them, right? And he's like, I recognize that they all say they take time for themselves in the morning. And that's when he decided to create his own routine. And I was like, that is true. Because the people that I follow that I love, like my Oprah Winfrey, She
Mm-hmm.
takes time for us, but it's intentional time. It is so
Mm-hmm.
intentional. That's why the intentionality block is it's the first part of the becoming phase. Because if you don't get intentional about anything, you can say you want to do things. So for the woman that's saying, yeah, I hear you, I'm gonna do it, you're not intentional yet.
Yeah.
But baby, when you get intentional, you will carve out that time, because I even made a night routine to keep myself, make sure that I'm in bed by a certain time. Lights
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
Nobody, do not disturb. After this time, I don't receive phone calls. My TV is off. I am laying in bed, taking myself down. I used to call it my turn down time. Turn down
Mm-hmm.
time starts at 8:30. Kim is sleeping by 9 or 9:30 at the latest. But it's silence all through my house. But I do what I need to do in that turn down to get myself prepared for rest, because I was going to be intentional about getting up at 5. Because some people might say, well, girl, I don't even get into bed till 10. So how am I gonna do that? Because you're sitting there watching Law and Order. Turn it off
Right. Turn it off. Yeah.
and just go to bed a little bit earlier. But you know what I found is, when it comes to TV and stuff like that, we do those little things because we see those as a reward. That's the little reward that we can give ourselves, because I've worked all day, so at least I can sit here and watch a little TV, even though the TV ends up watching you. Right?
Yeah.
So
Or
we
be
do
on
things
social
like that
media. Yeah. Or
on
social
social media. So
doom
I'm
scroll on social
consuming,
media. Yeah.
because that's how I'm going to be able to relax. That's a little bit of rest. No, go to sleep. Go to sleep. And then that means you're going to get up a little bit earlier. And in that little bit earlier that you get up, guess what? You just found time for yourself. So it's about intentionality.
Yeah.
Do you really want what you say you want? Again, I say everybody needs a friend that's going to tell them the truth. If any of my clients come to me and they say, I hear you, but I say, your butt gets rid of everything you said before. So you just lied to yourself. You said you want this,
Mm,
but then you got a butt. So either you want it or you don't want it. Do you want it? Because if you want it, get intentional and go get it. That's
yeah.
all.
Reframing. Yeah. Yeah. It's all about reframing what you really want to be intentional about. Removing the but. How do we remove
Hmm.
this but and reframe what we're saying to ourselves? Because, like you said, if you the but after that, you're not gonna do it.
You're
You're
not
not
gonna
gonna
do
do
it.
it because if you wanted to do it, there wouldn't be a but.
Hmm.
Be more of I am going to do this, or and these are the reasons why you're going to do it
Or
without
I
the but.
I need to move this out the way so I can do this. Something,
Yeah,
right? There's no but.
yeah.
There's no but. It's just like
I
the word
love that. I
try. I hate
wonder.
when people say I try. I'm like, you're not
Yeah,
trying. You either are or you won't. There's no
yeah,
try. If you start telling me I'm
yeah.
going to try it, that means you're not going to do it.
Hmm.
Come on, let's
That's
keep it real.
true. That is true. That is true. Either you're gonna do it or you're not gonna do it. That is true. I want to go back for a brief moment, and then I want to come up to manifestation.
Okay.
Um, on this journey of becoming, and we'll talk about your journey a little bit. Did you notice, or I'm not going to say notice, but did you go through any sort of grief, whether that's grief from like relationship grief or shedding old parts of who you were?
Hmm.
Um, was there a grieving process that you went through? And if so, how did you move through
Oh yeah. Becoming is all about grief, because you're
that? Hmm.
letting that thing go. You're letting it die. You're letting that false identity die to yourself. You're letting the the idea of who you thought you were or who you thought you were
Hmm.
going to be die. You're letting um, the things that people have said to you or about you or what should be for your life, and it could be your family that said it.
Yeah.
You're letting that die. So you're basically running away from a home that wasn't really built for you. Okay, you're leaving that,
Hmm.
and you're leaving all of that behind. So yes, you grieve it. Um, I grieved. Oh, I cried a lot, and I didn't
Hmm.
see myself as a crying person. Right, I was one of those don't cry, keep it all in.
Oh,
And then
that's
I
me.
found myself, okay, girl, them hard necks.
Yeah.
And but I got to that point where like I said, that dissonance that you're feeling is the sign. That is the sign that, baby, maybe you want to get on this road to becoming, because where you are, that home that you're in, is not yours. You can't grow there. You need to leave it. You're going to have to leave everything behind too. And so there was a friend of mine, um, same age. And in 2020, in 2019, she called me and she said, "Hey, girl, I turned 40 this year, and next year I want us to go to Paris together." And I was like, "Okay, girl, we're going to do it. Like, we're not going to say we want to, we're going to do it. Let's make the plan. Let's set the trip." She was like, "Okay." And just at the top of 2020, she got COVID and died. And it was such a shock to me, because I'm sitting there like, did this thing just come and kill her? Like, and it just took her. And I sat there for a long, long time, and I didn't know how to process it. When it comes to death, I am literally on this thing of processing it, because I don't believe that there is an end. I believe that we're all energy, so we just continue on in a different form.
Mhm.
And so I just want
Mhm.
to kind of figure out how to receive someone in that form. And so I'm just sitting there like, and I talked about it a lot. Um, and I remembered that she had written a book that is called "It's Okay to Cry." And I got the book, and I read the book. This was my first
Mhm.
time reading her book. I bought the
Mhm.
book, but it was on my shelf. But this was my first time reading her book. And I read that book, and girl, when I say I boohooed all the way through that book. But what she was
Mhm.
saying is almost the same thing as what I say about rest. She's like, it's supposed to happen. Nothing is, if we're all energy, nothing is supposed to stay stored in you. Right? If you just
Yeah.
keep filling a battery up with energy, what's gonna happen? It will explode on you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's supposed to go somewhere. So she's like, if there's anything that makes a tear come out of your face, then let it roll down your cheek, baby. It's okay to cry. That is
Yeah.
that is how we express ourselves. And I just boohooed and boohooed, but I was boohooing in happiness, because I understood what she was saying, which she was also confirming to me that energy just keeps moving, and she's still there. And I was receiving her in this book, and like, I still talk to her. Like, it is amazing what we think about grief, the lie we've been told about grief, and
Mhm.
then when we really accept it as a phase and emotion that is rightly held, we begin to see the joy in grief,
Yeah.
because it's a release. It's a
Yeah.
release. It's letting go. It's that surrender. So
Yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
I love that. And I'm sorry to hear about your friend. Um, but I love that it's almost like she was speaking to you through that book,
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know, because I know I'm guilty. Like, oh, I don't want to feel anything. I don't want to cry. I don't want to do, I don't want to do any of that. But I do know that crying is a release. It's your
Mhm.
body releasing, some things that it has to release. And so it's okay to do. It's just something I still struggle with. I gotta work on it. I'm not gonna say I don't cry, y'all. Y'all probably like, lady, you don't cry. I cry. But I fight it. I fight it as much as I
But
can before I let it
Ronnie,
out. Yeah.
you have to ask yourself, what's the why behind that? That's one of the things
Yeah.
that I started asking myself. What
Mm.
is the reason behind it, right? So I would say, yeah, I don't want to be mushy, or I don't want to be soft, but I could find myself, like, with my friends, my girlfriends, I'm super soft with them. Like, hey, girl, I love you, hug you. Like, saying I love you is easy. Hugging you really, really tight, that's easy.
Mm-hmm.
With my sisters, my brother, my mom, my dad, it's not. Well, with my dad it is, but with my mom, no. And so I had to ask myself, what's behind that? Why don't I do that? And so I got on the phone with my mom and I was like, hey, I remember that you never would say you love me. Like,
That's it.
you just never did that. Why didn't she's like, well, that's what pansies do. And I'm like, Mom, why can't you say that? So
Yeah.
it took a lot of prodding, and I forced her to start saying I love you at the end of our phone calls, and it became after consistency is everything. And so after
Hmm.
doing it over and over, now she easily says I love you at the end of that phone call. But I prodded her more to find out what was behind her reasoning, because now that I know you're behind mine, I would like to know what's behind yours.
Yeah.
And she finally told me, she was like, well, the person that told me that they loved me said it when they were leaving and never came back. Her dad walked away and she was 10 years old. And so
Mm-hmm.
she's like, he literally told me I love you before he walked out the door to never come back. And so
Yeah.
that was her reason. That's her way of protecting. She's like, people say they love you, but it's not true. Let them show you.
Yeah.
And so that's why she doesn't feel like she needs to say it. She just shows it.
Yeah.
Ask yourself
Yeah.
what.
Yeah. Yeah. I can definitely relate to that growing up in a home where we didn't hear it often. We didn't hear it at all. So I know that's probably just the bigger place of where it comes from. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I want to show any emotion. And also, we have in the black community and probably in other ones too. But it was stop all that crying before I give you something to cry about. It was so you
Yes,
could
ma'am.
not express emotion. So you were
Yes.
taught early to suppress it, not let it come out, or you're gonna get in trouble. But I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
get you worse than I just got you. So you just no, shut it down.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's where it comes from. And even at this big age, I know like it's okay now. But then there's
Mm-hmm.
still, as we talked about earlier, this tug of war, this struggle with like,
Yeah.
let it go, release it versus girl, don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and what I also noticed is that quite a bit of my friends in my circle very similar too, with the exception of maybe one. Every time I get off the phone with her, she tells me, "I love you." I'm like, "I love you too, girl." But with the exception of her, everybody else is pretty much the same. Very
Mm.
much don't show a lot of emotion. We might talk about some things, but we're like, yeah, girl, da, da, da. We're not really soft with each other.
Yeah.
Um, and so I have learned to accept that. And it's crazy because and I'm gonna tell you this, most of my circle, I don't do it anymore. I'm retired from it, but most of my circle is full of therapists, mental health
Mm.
therapists, and social workers. So you would be like, now y'all should know better because y'all in the field, you teaching everybody else this, and you're
Ah.
holding them accountable. But how do you adopt what you're preaching? We're hypocrites. I'm
Well,
saying kind of like
if you
let us
have to
adopt.
absorb everyone else's feelings,
Mm-hmm.
that's probably like a way of almost protection. Like,
Yeah,
I have to absorb so much. I don't have the space to be broken because I have to be strong for so much more.
everybody else. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm. I love that. I'm gonna have to connect with you offline. Before we wrap up, I definitely want to ask you a little bit about manifesting abundance. I know that
Hmm.
we hear about manifestation a lot. Some people don't really understand manifestation. Um, and I know it's all about like mindset. So, in this space of becoming, what does abundance actually mean in this context of becoming?
In becoming, abundance is what you receive at the end.
Hmm.
I honestly believe that the abundance comes when we walk into that true God identity. That's when you receive it, because then you'll recognize that it's always been there, that everything is limitless. Um, Anything that you could possibly want is there for the taking.
Yeah.
But when you're in the becoming process, you're learning the tools to help you get there. Remember, I said you have to start with awareness. Awareness puts you
Mm-hmm.
on a level where you can now see, almost like the movie The Matrix. You see the
Yeah.
threads. You start to see the threads. And you're
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm playing myself. I've been lying to myself. So you start getting rid of negative thinking. You start, because you realize it's a lie. Like a lot of this stuff, I built it to either protect what I thought it was a way to protect me, or it was a way to protect my ego. Um, some of these guardrails or limitations that I think the universe is giving me really aren't real.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
created those. Like, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you start learning this on the process of becoming. You start learning these things. Again, this is why I take my clients through, we do 30 days at a time to learn something new. Because baby,
Mm-hmm.
you have to learn these things to get to the abundance part. Because it
Yeah.
starts after you do it consistently over and over, it starts clicking and you realize, oh, I do have access to this. And like you said, mindset. Yeah, it's about mindset, but mindset requires consistent practice. It's
Yeah.
the way you talk to yourself every day to remind yourself, because we have so many distractions, we have so much negativity that can seep in.
Mm-hmm.
So again,
Mm-hmm.
you got to be intentional about what you let come into your ears. What are you
Yeah.
listening to?
Yeah.
What are you watching the news? Please don't watch the news, baby. Get off social
Yeah.
media. Like, you
Yeah.
really have to detox, because if you're not intentional about what you're letting in, it will tear apart everything that you're learning in your aware state, right? So if you do that intentionally and you start only allowing in good, positive thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
then when you get up, and let's say, Ronnie, let's say you wanted to, um, you say, I'm going to join this golf club and I'm going to get in a competition and I'm going to win $25,000, right? Because you talk and speak positively to yourself every day through this process of becoming, and you're telling yourself, not that this is impossible anymore, not that I don't have the time to do it, I don't know how I'm going to practice, I don't even know if there's a competition. Da-da-da. If you're not saying those things, instead you're saying, you know what, I'm gonna go every week. I'm gonna sign up for a monthly program and I'm gonna get into it every day. And you're just saying it. You're just saying it to yourself. I'm a great golf player. I'm a good this, whatever, whatever. Guess what happens as you continue to do that? You will get really good at the game of golf. There is a tournament somewhere. It will find its way to you, and you will win that tournament. And guess what? You can
Yeah.
turn around and say, "Hey, I manifested this," because you did. It's just like a filter. That's all it is. It's like, if I say the things that I want, then I have filtered my reality to only bring those things to me. But if I talk about, man,
Mm-hmm.
life be life, guess what? The lifing part of life is gonna come at you because you called it. You brought it
Yeah.
in. Like, we have the power of the tongue. The things we speak are powerful. We've all heard about the experiment of talking nicely to a plant and talking negatively to a
Mm-hmm.
plant, right? That
Mm-hmm.
is real. This isn't, some hocus pocus stuff. That is reality. So if you
Right.
speak positively to yourself about what you say you want daily,
Mm-hmm.
consistently, every hour, every minute, I have an alert on my phone that goes off every hour and says, speak what you see. And so I
Mm.
will speak a thing that I see for
Love that.
myself,
Yes.
right? I make sure I do that. And if you do that every day, guess what? Those things show up in your life, because life has no choice but to deliver you what you said you wanted. You spoke a
Yes.
thing. God said, I speak a thing, and so it is.
Yes. I
It's
love
just
that
truth.
because it is very true. And the other day, it's crazy that you mentioned that because the other day I posted something on Facebook and I'm like pulling it up because I'm gonna read it. And it was about the power of the tongue.
Mhm.
And I mentioned how it can literally destroy you or build everything you desire. And I'm continue by telling the people like, so speak blessings over your life each day, limit negativity. That includes people, what you watch on your social media feeds, TV, etc. And then watch how your life will change. And
Mhm.
it came to me because I saw this post, and it was a scripture, and I said, man, we always forget that scripture that life and death is in the power of the tongue. We always forget that. And so it also reminded me of another um, thing that I did not promise, that I did not keep to myself, which was recently. I was telling my cousin this about 2 weeks ago. I said, I'm going to start getting up every day and I'm going to start writing something positive, and just placing it somewhere. I said, because I used
Mhm.
to have the sticky notes on my mirror. I used to watch Being Mary Jane, like a lot of y'all had the sticky notes. So I had them all on my mirror, and then I took them down and I never put them back up. And so I said, if I can do this every day, write something on a sticky note every day and put it up, or even in a journal every day, so that
Mhm.
I can like just meditate on that throughout the day, that's going to help me a lot. And I was telling my cousin this literally 2 weeks ago. I
Mhm.
ain't done it. So as a promise, I didn't keep to myself that I have to like say, okay, girl, you got to do it. And I'm like
Yeah.
you, it has been my phone. If it's under my phone to buzz me to do something, I'm probably gonna forget.
Mhm.
So, but that's something I can do, and also something I can just add to my morning routine too. Like
Mhm.
let that be one of the first things I do
Yeah.
after I finish reading. Write down what that positive thought is for the day, or that thing that I want to create, because you don't want somebody else telling you who you are or whose you are. You want to be able to tell yourself who you are, and
Yes.
making sure that it's in alignment with what God, His word, and what He has for you.
That's right.
So that was the whole conversation my cousin and I had. And she was like, you know what, you should do that. And then tell me how it works. I said, you should do it with me too. But I know she ain't done it yet. She waiting on me. So
So you
I
know what you
need to
should
do
do,
that.
honey? You need to make it a challenge for your listeners. You need it, and every morning you can get up, and when you have that thought, that positive thing you want to say it into your
Hmm.
phone. It's probably going to be a 15-second clip, and you post it.
Yeah, I
Just
like
post it
that.
and see what
Post
happens
it.
to this podcast. See how you bless your audience. See what happens. Just watch it.
I will. Y'all got a challenge now. And I'm gonna I'm gonna do a video and I'm gonna post it on Instagram, and we are going to do this. I'm gonna do it. And that's my challenge to me, because if I have to show up for you, that's my accountability to
Yeah.
myself. So I like that. Thank you.
Hmm.
Thank you for giving me that something to do. All right. As we begin to wrap up here, I do have a listener question for you.
Okay.
What would you say to a woman listening who knows she's being called into something greater but feels afraid to step into it?
First thing is what is the fear? You have to name it and claim it.
Yeah.
You have to identify it. You cannot fight an opponent if you don't see them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead and name it and claim it. What are you afraid of? Then once you say what it is that you claim you're afraid of, ask yourself what's really behind that. What's the thing under the
Right.
thing?
That's
Because we're
it.
going to say one thing, but the truth is something else. So what's the thing under the thing? Now that you've identified it, what does God say about that thing? 9 times out of
Mm.
10, God is going to say, well, God for sure is going to say, you fear nothing. You have nothing to fear.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
if you're fearing, when we are in moments of fear, because we all get there, trust me, I'm not saying that you won't. This is why I keep saying it is a daily practice, right?
Yeah.
In moments of fear, it is when we slightly forget who is on our team. That's all it
That's
is.
true. That's true. That is true. And who holds all of the power?
That's it. If you're in control, yeah, you got a reason to fear because we can't get it all together. But God is in
Mm-hmm.
control. So there's nothing to fear. There's literally nothing to fear when you know that you have allowed God to take that wheel. Now, if you are still afraid and you're saying, oh, yeah, God got it, but I know God got it, but I'm still afraid. That means, baby, you didn't give it to God. You're still holding on. Let go of the wheel, babe. Let go of the
Yeah,
wheel. And then you will fully be able to say, oh, there's nothing to fear here because God has it.
I love that. I love that because you're right. We do sometimes forget who's in control when we're going through
Mm-hmm.
things. And it's a way to reel us back in. And the more that we're practicing this on a daily basis, the easier it becomes to us. It's like
Yeah.
second nature, or really first. I love that. All right. Thank you so much for being here with us, Kimberly, and for just
Thank
talking to us. This
you.
was a great conversation.
This
I
was so
really enjoyed having
good.
you. You, it was. How can our listeners learn more about you? Where can they follow you at? And connect with you, even if they want to be a part of your program? How can they do so?
Well, the best place to find me is going to be ihearthatgirl.com. That's my website. That's my
Mm-hmm.
home.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're in that in between season and you're ready to stop waiting and go on the becoming process journey for real, then I want to personally invite you guys to join the wait list for my becoming membership circle. This is a quarterly opening. So right now it's open. um, it's going to be closing soon. But that's the community that I built specifically for women who are ready to do this work together. And you can find the enrollment on ihearthatgirl.com / becoming circle waitlist.
I love that. And I will also place that in the show notes as we wrap up here. And that way everyone can check out this upcoming event because it's amazing, sounds amazing. And again, just going on, because a lot of programs you get into, they throw it all at you at once, and
Mm-hmm.
I love the fact that you're just taking them on this
Yeah.
journey and you're taking it slowly so that they can build these habits over time. So
Yeah.
thank you so much again for being here with
Thank
me. And
you.
I know I kept you over time because I was just like, I lost track of time. I was like, this is a great conversation. But thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank
And
you.
everyone, that is it for Navigating Life After 40 this time. I will look forward to seeing you next time. I also look forward to hearing your thoughts about this episode. So feel free to email me at hello@navigatinglifeafter40.com. I almost forgot it, but I will see you all next time. Have a good one.